I am a Pete Primeau fan.
Thank you for having me.
Your fans are like...
What an honor to be here, Pete. You're a legend. You're a rock star.
I'm a legend in my own mind, said my wife.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I'm Mr. Selling from the Heart. What's this guy, Larry Levine, going to teach me about selling from the heart?
You are one of the most generous and authentic people around. And I think that's why you and your show are so attractive to people.
Welcome to the Pete Primeau Show. It is episode 202, and we are here with Michael Wipfler from Mueller Furniture. He is the director of sales. We're going to be talking about goal setting, but let me pay the bills first. If you haven't bought my book, Sell a Million, what are you waiting for? 101 tips for furniture and mattress stores to sell another $1 million or more this year. It's on Amazon. Jump over there and grab it. If you invest in the book and there's an item in there that you want to implement and you're not having any success with it, or you don't know where to start, call me at 419-560-3169. I will help you get you started absolutely free. And I'd like to thank my friends at the Mattress Industry Network group, Steve and Greg, for sponsoring the show. If you are in the mattress industry, we want you in this group. If you want to learn how to build, market, sell, and succeed in the mattress industry, come on in. Everybody's in here, from store owners to sales pros that work retail, to store managers, regional managers, manufacturers, reps, VPs of sales, and owners of manufacturers. Hit that QR code right there, and I get in there a few times a week, say hi, and join that group. It's absolutely free. Over 2,200 strong, might be 2,300 strong by now. So let's see. This has got to be RJ, right? Let's go. Happy Monday to all. Looking forward to this episode as always. I am too. I can't wait to see what Michael has to say. Michael, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Pete, how you guys doing?
You tell me. How's it going? Are you cold out there?
No, actually, so we were cold for a little bit, but it's Missouri, so you don't stay cold for long. Today and yesterday, it's golfing weather. So, I mean, it's December, and I'm sure there is lots and lots of people on the golf course out there. It's a beautiful day.
Awesome. So we're talking about goal setting, and I'm thinking, why don't we just break it down at the very beginning? Like, what is a goal?
Yeah, and I like the way you said that, because the proper term is goal setting, not goal setting with a G. You said it proper, goal setting. And that's what we do. That's how you're going to be successful, is by doing some goal setting. So, and what is a goal? I mean, I think it's different to everybody, but for me, I had to really break that down. I got into, it's a great habit of mine is setting goals. I do it every day, every week, every month, every year. My wife and I, we do it together, and just identifying like, what is a goal to you? Like, because a lot of people in some way, like you might say that a trip to Hawaii is a goal. But to me, the way that my wife and I, we kind of separated, a trip to Hawaii is a reward. In a goal is things that you do along the way to be able to earn that trip, so understanding the difference between a trip and a goal and a reward, I think, is really big. And just knowing that there's a lot of things out there that are going to tell you that you want these things. We're living in the greatest, advertising, social media. You're constantly getting pumped telling these are things that you want. And they're so good at telling you that. And I think that you really have to do some self-inventory with, trusted advisors to find out what is it truly that you want, not just what you've been told that you want.
Mm. Yeah, that's a super important distinction, because setting goals because I'm supposed to isn't really a good reason. Um, so, what are the questions that you ask yourself about goals to help you determine if this should even be a goal that I put forward into my mind and into, my ultimately my daily actions, right?
Yeah, I mean, where does the ball stop, right? So they say like your 1 day goal should help you get to your 1 week goal, right? And your 1 week goal should help you get to your 1 month goal. And your 1 month goal should help you get to your quarterly goal. And your quarterly goal should help you get to your year-end goal, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, and so on, right? So essentially, where does it stop? And I think it stops at values. What is it that you value? And what is, painting that picture of your values? What does that version of you look like? And then your goals help you to get to the best version of you. So I think that ultimately when you're picking a goal, it really should be, is this something that helps me get to the best version of me? And the best version of me are the things that I truly value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. So, I want to pick up on something and unpack it just a little bit. Um, you and your wife sit down and do goals. And so here's my question. Before you start the process of goal setting for 2025, which
Mm-hmm.
you might have already completed, and my hat is off to you if you have, um, what do you guys do in preparation for that meeting?
Sure. Well, I got to say, you don't just plan for 2025 in December, right? And if you are, you're starting late. And I got to tell you, there's tons of people that are, right? So 9 out of 10 people probably aren't all that great at goal setting. But if you're on this podcast, or if you're watching, if you're reading, if there's things that you're doing, you probably are that 1 person out of 10 that's willing to put forth the effort into, becoming that next best version of yourself. So, I mean, to answer that question in a short way, I would say that, we had a November goal, we had an October goal, and it led us there. We have a budget, a monthly budget. We have values that we instill in our children, and we know what kind of parents that we need to be to do that. We have values in our marriage and the respect that we have for each other, and we know what we need to do to be able to accomplish that. We're both very career-driven individuals. We both really appreciate the ability to work hard and, frankly, to be able to just outwork 99% of the people in our generation. Frankly, that's kind of easy, but what are you going to do? It's an unfair advantage that us hard workers have, but what are you going to do? But we value each other. We're honest with each other, and we didn't just start today, right? We not saying that you can't start today, but we've been doing this for a while, and that's one of the reasons why we see results.
So, anybody that has not set your goals for 2025, keep listening, okay? It's not too late. It would have been better if you had already set them, but I came across something, Michael, that is fascinating. And I did it because I thought, all right, well, this guy's really super successful, so I'm going to do it. And now I do it every year. And this is it's from James Wedmore, and it involves writing down all of your successes from the previous year and all of your failures, successes and failures. And then he basically lights them on fire, and he says a prayer to the universe. I say a prayer to my Savior, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So that's That's just how I roll with it. And I thank I thank him for everything that he's helped me with. And I also apologize for when I didn't listen and I didn't work hard enough. I didn't focus enough. I didn't reach out to enough other people enough. And then I burn it. And it creates this feeling of, all right, all those successes, they're gone. They're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have to go through the process of what do I want this next year? So that's something that I found incredibly valuable. You know, something that happens with goal setting that shouldn't happen, but it does. It happens almost all the time unless somebody's really well coached, is there are difficult questions that we need to ask ourselves about these goals, right? I mean, the first one is, and this might sound really arrogant, but is this goal worthy of the effort that I need to put into it? And that leads to the second one. Am I willing? Am I willing? I know, for instance, here's one for me. I want to lose 30 pounds. Okay. I've gained and lost the same 20 pounds so many times, it's not even a challenge anymore. So 30 is more of a challenge. So I want to lose 30 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, how am I going to feel when I lose the 30 pounds? Man, I'm going to feel lighter on my feet. I'm going to have more energy at the end of the day. I'm going to have more energy to be a better father, to be a better husband, to be a better sales rep, to be a better teammate. I'm going to have more energy. And so I've got that locked in. That now, what do I need to give up and what do I need to do to achieve this? And then I go through what that looks like. And I forget, and maybe you know this, Michael, it was either Brian Tracy or Zig Ziglar. It was one of them. I don't know which one, who said, you have to ask yourself the question of, what am I going to change in my daily routine that allows me to achieve this goal? Because if the goal doesn't require you to change something in your daily routine, it's probably not big enough. What say you?
You know, so they both speak on that topic. And I know this because, you know, in preparation for this, I've probably crammed like 100 hours of listening to Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar and Jordan Peterson into this past week. Just, you know, really, I mean, there is no better time to talk about setting goals than, you know, the middle of December, getting ready to go into 2025, and everybody wants to have their best year ever. Now, Zig Ziglar had a goal very similar to yours. He wanted to lose 37 pounds. He wanted to go from 202 to 165. It was 1974. So this is all fresh to me because I was literally listening to it at the gym this morning. And he broke that down to where he had to lose 1 ounce a day. It was like 1.3 ounces a day in order for him to do it. He wanted to write a book and he wanted to lose 37 pounds. And he set a goal. His date was July 1st, 1975. He was going to weigh 165 pounds and he was going to have published a book. And he accomplished his goal because it was specific. He gave himself a date. Now, he had failed the weight loss goal in the past. And what he said is that he made it too easy to achieve, is that he would say, oh, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in a year. And don't set a year-end goal that you could accomplish in a quarter or 2 months. That's not right. Actually, Elon Musk says, if you give yourself 3 hours to clean your office, it will take you 3 hours to clean your office. And if you give yourself 30 minutes to clean your office, it will take 30 minutes to clean your office. He says something along those lines, and that's 100% accurate. So if you give yourself a whole year to do a task that should really only take you a month or two, gosh, you're probably going to end up failing it, you know. So I think that's right. And I think with that specific goal, you need to break it down into what you need to do a month and what you need to do a week. And then it needs to go into what you do in a day.
Awesome. So Tara, well, we got Scott Vaughn up. Scott Vaughn says we use the book Traction for setting up our quarterly and annual meetings. My personal goals, I use Zig Ziglar system, set those in October to allow for changes before January. That's really good, Scott. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
And Tara Day says, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Amen.
That's right.
Amen.
Man, Tara is always so positive. One day I'll get to meet Tara, but since then she's influenced quite a bit of my day. Every time I go on to the social medias, I see just something positive, and I think that's so great. We need more of that.
Yeah, her daily posts on thankfulness. I'm always thankful. Always wake up very first thing. I thank the Lord that he woke me up this morning, gave me a chance at this thing called life, right?
Yeah.
And at 64 in my family, I'm doing really good because my dad only made it to 51. My grandfather only made it to 44. So I am very thankful every day. And I love Tara's thankfulness posts that she's been, we cannot be reminded of that enough. And we can't be too thankful. It opens up the gates to everything that is good and positive in our life. And anything other than thankfulness is never going to put us in the place where we want to be. Okay. So we've got daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals. You go out to 10 years?
No, but I know a lot of people do. So that's just kind of why I have a long-term vision for my marriage and my family. I would call it, it's probably even further than 10 years. And that vision that we've painted for our family, is how we align our goals. But I wouldn't call it 10 years.
Got it. So what are the highlights? You've got my curiosity up here, Michael. What are the highlights of the 100 hours that you did in preparation?
Oh man,
there's got to be some golden nuggets that even somebody like me that has studied this basically his whole life can gather from, or maybe it's something I forgot that I'm not doing anymore.
Well, it's, if you think about just action, so this Brian Tracy book that I pulled up was just one of many, and it was 4 hours of his best book on, just selling. I'm a salesman. I love, and I just truly appreciate the position of a salesman, because I know that a good salesman is improving the lives of the people that need their help, right? So I think that salesmen get a bad rap most of the time, but whenever you have an opportunity to have a great salesperson that's honest and seeking to help the people that get in front of them, they're going to do exactly that. They're going to improve people's lives. And I think that being good at selling is going to allow you to improve the lives of all the clients that come into your life. So I truly just think that, the art of selling will allow customers to get to the finish line more often, because you were able to tear down those barriers and you were able to build that trust so that the customer would get out of their own way and finally take action, and then be really grateful that you were prepared as a salesperson to help them get rid of all that stuff and to help them finally take action. So, and it really does, it comes to action. So I read that Brian Tracy book once, it's 4 hours. I start reading it the second time, and I decide that, hey, let's start a book club. I tell everybody on the Mattress Industry Network, hey, anybody that wants to read this book this month, and we'll talk about it together on January 7th, right? So, it's action. Maybe something will come from that, and we'll be able to compound, improve the lives of people all over, America that are, coming into mattress stores that don't have the ability to, get the rest that they need, and they have trust issues, but a great salesperson suddenly helped them get past that, buy the mattress they needed, and improve their life.
That's great stuff. And I love this idea of a book club, and everybody that's watching, you guys should join Michael. I'm going to see if I can do that as well.
Join me, Pete. I'm going to ask you to do it.
So, when we talk about Brian Tracy, there's a lot of people that might see a polished professional, a salesperson, business person, successful speaker, successful author, and they think, man, this guy is just so perfect that, like, this dude had a perfect life, but he didn't have a perfect life. He left home early. He didn't complete, I don't even know that he completed high school. I think he went back and did. You should, everybody that's watching this, you should delve into Brian Tracy's life, his story, his early years, and how he corrected his, nod to Zig Ziglar, his stinking thinking. Hey, Marty, I'm glad you picked up the book. Brian Tracy is a very special person. I was telling you in the green room before we got started that he's one of the few people in my life that I met who you would call super successful. And he was the most down-to-earth guy I've ever met in my life. I mean, he's an incredible human being. And he asked himself a question, and it was a really difficult question. Why are some people successful and I'm not? And he started to correct that. Mm-hmm. And he did it as a very almost illiterate kind of a guy, could barely read, could not write, and lifted himself up by asking really tough questions, by immersing himself into positivity, and by reading all the books that he could get his hands on, listening to everything he could. But you got to remember, when Brian Tracy was coming up, he's got a few years on him, there were no podcasts, Michael. I mean, there was none of this. I mean, my first Brian Tracy tapes, I wish I could get to them. They're cassette tapes. They're not even CDs. They're cassette tapes. And so he is somebody that should be studied and should be emulated in practically every way. As a matter of fact, the best advice I ever got regarding success is you really are the sum total of those 5 people that you hang out with. And the best use of your time when you're not with your family and you're not building your business is, and nobody gets this, everybody looks at me with their mouth open when I say it. It's not me. This is Brian Tracy's recommendation, and it's true. You will meet the best people in this entire planet when you do work for charities. So whatever charity that is near and dear to your heart, that touches you deeply, immerse yourself into that charity. And the quality of the people that you meet and the network that you will form will be dramatically enhanced. And don't just do it to have more success. Do it out of a heart that cares about people, and do it for the right reasons. And you will be amazed at what happens to your network and what doors open to you. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on and on and on.
No, you're right, though. I mean, my boss, Mark Miller, and Viviana Miller, the owners of Miller Furniture, they have a humongous initiative of working with the local charities here in our St. Louis area. And we have met some of the most outstanding people. And oftentimes, If you think, the job description of somebody who may be a charity worker, it's to help those in need. And oftentimes people in need, well, the life that they're currently living, it can be sad, and so to think about the charity workers that are helping those people in need, that's a really, really tough job. And yet somehow, and a lot of them are on a volunteer basis, these people have a personal mission to volunteer their own time so that they can go put themselves into situations where people need help. And, they stomach that and they go into it and they come out, better. And I think it's great. Yeah, you'll notice we do this every week. So just today, there's one of our veteran salespeople, Tom Lowenthal, and he won our Sales Champ Award. So he was our top salesperson in November, and he donated to a local food pantry. So every time we have a top salesperson, a top, service individual, technician, a top delivery guy, and then another top salesperson on selling, additional products. And we award them, for their competence in that area. We reward them financially, and we match it with a donation to a community. And so every single month, we're making 4 or more donations into our community. And, the impact is just really great. There's a Coats for Kids promotion that we did where every mattress that we sold, we bought a winter coat for a child in need in Missouri and Illinois. And man, it was a great promotion, and the community wanted to get engaged. I mean, we had a goal to help kids get X amount of coats, and we would share that goal with our clients. And then the customers would say, hey, I wasn't going to buy a mattress today, but I really want to help you guys with this coat. And I think that it's just great. And then we show up and we actually do what we said we're going to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah. There's our Fairview Heights team. They sell a lot of mattresses. They bought a lot of coats.
So, Michael, I want to ask you a question about goal setting that you may not get all the time. In your estimation, I mean, you're the director of sales for all these stores.
Mm.
And so there's a lot of people that report to you and have to answer to you. Ultimately, they're answering to themselves and to God, but you're the boss and they answer to you. When you look at and this could go outside of your work as well, because you have friends, you've got other people that you network with. What do you think are the big mistakes that people make when it comes to goal setting, and how can they avoid them?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, and these are the people that are accountable to you are ultimately the people that you're accountable to, right? So while you may say, director of sales, 4 locations, we got several salespeople. I've got lots of individuals that make the cut in my life. These are people that I've chosen to live life with, because you get to choose those people. And, you're accountable to them just as much. But what are some goal setting pitfalls? Well, one of them would be never actually putting them in writing, right? So there's so much to say, I want to lose 30 pounds out loud or in your head, but to physically take the action to put it in writing, that's a humongous step that a lot of people don't take. And then to go from, okay, here's my goal, right? Now, what is the actions that I'm going to take to get there, right? So, because a goal without a plan is, I think that's a quote from somebody, but a goal without a plan is a dream, right? It's a wish. It's nothing at all. So, I mean, you got to have a plan. So to put it in writing is huge. And I don't necessarily think like a long-term goal that you need to know how to get there, right? So like I'm relatively good at math, but I can't tell you what 475 times 517 is right now off the top of my head, right? But I know the formula to get there. I know how to get there, right? So my long-term goal might be 475 times 517, and I can break it down and I can get there, So you may say that, those long-term goals, a lot of people may say that you have to know how to get there. And I think that you envision the life that you want for yourself, you put it in writing, and then you take action every day in order to get there. So, a big pitfall would be to not put it in writing, to not make a plan. Another one would be to not share it with somebody, So, and one of the reasons why goals are so important to me is because, I struggled with addiction and alcoholism for years and years and years as a young kid. And I had to overcome that. And I didn't overcome that stuff until I said it out loud, and I got other people that were in my corner involved. So I struggled with drinking for a long time until I came to a best friend and said, man, I got to stop this. Right. And it was a goal to stop, and it happened. And now I've got 13 years of sobriety or something like that. I've got 13 years clean. I think it's 12 years sober or something. I can't do the math because I'm nervous, but
you shouldn't be nervous. Congratulations.
Thank you. And,
thank you for being open and vulnerable enough to share that, because somebody watching this, somebody listening to this, maybe even a week from now or a month from now or a year from now, needs to hear that, because the assumption is this guy was always a stud. This guy was always Mr. Positivity. This guy was always like this. He wasn't. He just told you he wasn't.
A turn on that, though, is a lot of people might think that to start where I started from would be starting with a disadvantage. And I actually think the total opposite, because whenever you're dealing with those kind of life-threatening situations that could put you in a hole, suddenly these little goals that mean nothing to most people, well, your life's on the line for me, So I learned the importance of setting and achieving goals with really high stakes. And that's why I think a lot of people with troubled backgrounds end up being very successful, because, very early in the game, they have high stakes and they see, what setting goals can really do for them.
Well, I think that really speaks to your attitude, and that is probably one of the questions that I get. I'm not a positive person. How do I set goals if I'm not a positive person? And I look at them and I go, that's your first goal right there. you recognize it, right? But you haven't done anything about it. So what are those things? What is ultimately, after you identify it, what would my life look like if I was more positive? And then what would I have to change in my daily? Well, probably should listen to something positive, probably should read something positive every day, and I'd be well on my way. And that, to me, is ultimately what goal setting should be about, is, do I really want this? What does my life look like with this versus without? And am I willing to sacrifice and change something in my daily habits to achieve this goal? And, I forget, and maybe you can coach me up on this. Brian, I started writing my daily goals because of Brian Tracy. And he said that basically, the first few times you write them down, and I forget if it was 3 or 5, but it was 3 or 5 of your goals. The first thing you do in the morning after you say thanks and say your prayers is you write down these goals before you do anything else. Write these goals down. And what happens, because I've done it and do it, is it like programs you like for the day, like your next action is going to be the right one because you just wrote it down again. And it's like, the first time you write it down, it's like you're looking over there and you're like, what did I really say? And then you write it. But man, after you've done it 10 or 12 times, it's like in cement and it is like an anchor for your day. It becomes almost like programming and writing that down. And I know that people don't write as much as they used to, but I think when it comes to goals, I think we need to write them down. And I think if we write the important ones down every day, it literally programs our mind. What say you, brother?
Well, I mean, and it's one of those. So to me, I think so. That's the discipline of writing it down. And anybody will tell you to write your goals down. I think if you write a goal down, one of the things about writing something every single day, if every day you write your goals down, and you notice that something was on the list maybe one time, well, that wasn't really a goal. It was something that you ate last night, right? But if you have something that's made it on the list, 27 out of 30 days, that's probably really something that's important to you. That's probably really a goal, So I do think that taking the time to write something down, and this is one of those things, everybody can go to a motivational speech. You can listen to a book. You can listen to, you can go and you can say, I got this. And then you can do nothing. It is the habit. I would say if anybody was going to take anything from this, it would be the habit of saying, I'm going to be disciplined enough to give 5 minutes a day to write down in the morning what my goals are for that day. You would change your life if you can discipline yourself to give 5 minutes a day to write down your daily goals. Your life will change. That's it. That's easy.
That is great advice. If you're watching this and you take nothing else away, take that one away because that is incredibly huge. So in your research and in your life, you've been very successful for the last 7 years, Michael. You've made incredible progress. You are the consummate student. You love this business. You love people, and you're doing things that a lot of people are noticing. What surprised you in your research? Like, man, that's a great idea. I never even thought of that.
I think just how simple it is. And I want to say that's surprising, but the truth is it's not complicated at all. And as I looked at it more and more, what I noticed is that pretty much every goal, and the reason why you haven't already achieved it, has two root causes, and that's your discipline and your willingness, right? If you were to add discipline and willingness, you would have probably already be the person that has achieved the things that you're putting down that you like. For instance, I have here's just a stupid one, embarrassing, absolutely incredibly embarrassing. I don't have the discipline to say no to a Pop-Tart at 3 a.m. I wake up in the middle of the night starving, and I know that my kids have Pop-Tarts in the pantry. And I'll take a 45-step walk at 3 a.m. out of my bed into the pantry. And all 45 of those steps, I'll say, I don't want to be the guy that eats a Pop-Tart at 3 a.m. And yet I will still do it. and it just comes down to that discipline. And I think that it has to be bigger than you. And I think that it cannot just be that, that eating this Pop-Tart at 3 a.m. is bad for me, because in the moment it's much better. Right. So I think the goal has to be bigger than you. And I think that you have to have the discipline to do the things that you said you were going to do, even when you don't want to do them. Ask me my favorite flavor. Strawberry. Yep.
Even if you don't want to do them. I think that's the test right there.
And, you know, I've heard my boss say that a million times. You know, he's me and him, we share just this, you know, inspiration mindset. And I don't know if he got it from somebody, but, you know, I could quote my boss saying that, you know, discipline is doing the things that you said you were going to do long after the feeling has left from when you said you were going to do them. And, you know, I'll never forget that.
Mm. So as a leader, you get involved with goal setting with your salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, what's the difference between overall goal setting and goal setting specifically for sales? What are some of the pitfalls, and what are some of the things that we might do just a little bit differently, or we might have to adjust for?
Sure. So sales is something that so if you're setting sales targets, right? Goals for sales targets, which a sales target is really just an indicator of your success. It's really not success itself. It's a tracking device, right? So if you hit a certain number that was your goal, it's a tracking device for your success. So, I mean, I think that everybody should have goals, but your career in selling itself is really just fuel in the vehicle for where you want to go. So, but, you know, I love the topic of setting sales goals, sales targets. You know, I just say other goals. I think that everybody should have a fitness or a health goal. I think that people should have a reading or an education goal. I think that people should have a relationship goal, a faith goal, a family goal. Those are all really personal. And the topic of goal setting is, you know, it's something, I mean, that could be discussed forever, you know. But in order to talk about goals as far as sales targets, I think the first thing that comes to mind is, you know, what is it that you're trying to get, right? Most of it would be a salary, right? So you're going to reverse engineer, you know, this is the, and for some people it may not be, it may just be an achievement of, you know, I'd like to help more people. And I think that's a great way to go about it too. So, you know, let's say that somebody has a goal to sell $2 million in a year. You know, and in order to do that, you need to be able to reverse engineer that so that you can know how much do you need to do in a month, or how much do you need to do in a quarter, or how much do you need to do in a good month to make up for a bad month, you know, so to be able to do that. So I think setting a goal for a year is, you know, something that, you know, you do first. And I don't think that you necessarily need to know where you're going to get it all from. Right. So if you set a goal too low, then next year, what are you going to do? You're going to go a little bit higher. So, you know, if somebody was to say, and let's just use a nice round number, that they want to sell $1.2 million in a year, then obviously that means that they're going to have a goal to sell $100,000 a month, you know, and, you know, in order to set that monthly goal. And I think that in sales, especially in retail sales, a monthly goal is something that most people are pretty successful with. Setting a monthly goal. What do you think, Pete? You've been around. Monthly goals are something that I think a lot is more common in our industry.
Yep.
I'm more comfortable with a monthly goal than a weekly goal. I don't exactly know how much I'm going to do in a week. You know, sometimes I hope that it's 75% of my monthly goal. And other times you may have a week where just nothing lands, you know, so, but I think a monthly goal is a good indicator. I think whenever you get down to setting a daily goal, I don't think that daily goals should be numbers driven. I think they should be task driven or action driven, right? So my daily goals are typically, you know, let's just say as an RSA, what would my daily goals be? my daily goal would be I want to call 5 people before 9 a.m. Right. So like, I would say I'm going to call 5 people before anybody else even shows up. My competitors are still at home. I'm going to call 5 people before my competitors do. So my goal would be to talk to 5 people before 9 a.m. That's a task-oriented goal that I have complete control of. So how am I going to set my daily goals? I'm going to set my daily goals with things that I can do no matter what. I have full control. I can definitely make 5 phone calls by 9 a.m. The only person that's going to stop me from doing that is me. So there is no question as to circumstance. I own that, right? Then you could say, I want to talk to 20 people a day. I want to write 5 thank you cards. I want to write 2 great emails. We are in retail furniture sales, so we truly believe in sketching the room so that we can help the customer paint a picture of the actual problem and feel comfortable enough to create a solution in the store. So I may say, I want to have 3 sketches by noon, right? I want to have my first sale by 1 p.m. These are things that I have complete control of. And so daily goals would be task-oriented or action-driven.
I have got nothing to add to that other than this. And I've told this story before. Angel Gutierrez, who is the best retail salesperson I've ever met in my life, God rest his soul. He was my mentor. He basically said, my little baby hippo, you're driving yourself crazy. I want you to try this for 1 month. Stop looking at every number, every ticket, and write and reading for every minute, like where you're at for the month. Just write as much business as you can for a whole month without looking at it. And I guarantee you, you will write more that way than the way you're doing it. And the way you're doing it, you're driving yourself crazy, because when you get behind, you put all this pressure on yourself that I got to make this sale. And when you do that as a salesperson, you change all the interpersonal dynamics between you and the customer, and they can smell that commission breath a million miles away, and they can understand that this is a person who may not have my best interests at heart. When you're just writing everything that you can write and just focusing on one customer at a time and doing the right thing for that one customer, your numbers are going to increase. So I 100% can go back into my career and look at when I didn't keep tabs on every daily number, I do better. When I just focus on taking care of my customers the best I can with open and honest communication and being creative. And that's one of the things that we do as salespeople. We all do it. Hopefully we catch ourselves when we do it and we stop doing it. That is, we put pressure on ourselves, right? We put pressure on ourselves. And then when we start to put too much pressure on ourselves, the first thing that goes out the window is our creativity. And you cannot allow that to happen. Or when it does happen, you need to recognize it and go, my creativity's slipping because I'm putting too much pressure on myself. So I love your recommendation that your daily goals should be task driven. I absolutely love that. Dude, this is unbelievable that we're like 11 minutes away from stop time. And I want to make sure that I've asked you, is there a question or two that I haven't asked you that you wish I would have asked you about goal setting for the benefit of the audience?
No, I think that for me, one of the number one things that I make sure, and I always tell people, my days are immensely better whenever I remember in the morning that I just want to help people. If I have my own prerogative, my own motives, and I go into the day really trying to just mash all these plans, and then the day gets in my way, then I can be frustrated or I can feel that pressure. But if whenever I say and I leave and I can remember, hey, I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to bring positivity to the table, and I'm just going to help the people that God puts in front of me. That's whenever I have my absolute best days. Every single time, no questions asked. If I say, hey, my motives are out the window and they come second to just helping the people that are in front of me, I end up going further and achieving more just by making sure that I focus on those people.
100%. Yeah. Chris Tahaney, Senior VP at DreamFit, my boss and my friend. Mike may as well be handing out free gold right now. He actually is. He actually is.
Free Bitcoin.
Free Bitcoin. Evan Lewis, my brother told me something similar. Taking it day by stacking small wins is what builds confidence and success. 100%. 100%. Man, you're a rock star, Mike.
Hey, no, that's not fair. Don't do that.
You are. I don't even know why you said you're nervous. Like, why are you nervous? You shouldn't be nervous. You are handing out gold and maybe Bitcoin. So what is there something that we haven't covered that we should let's cover this. You know, we've got our goals, we've got, our monthly goals, we've got our task-driven daily goals. I just
Well, hang on really quick. Let me just say something.
Yeah.
Because you say we got our goals, we've got our monthly goals, but we don't, right? So if we were going to cover anything, let's cover action here. So what we have is a 52-minute conversation where we've talked about all these great things that we can do. But I don't know how many people actually grabbed a pen and a piece of paper and took action, right? So, I mean, I would love it if people that listen to this, and tonight you try to go to sleep. And if you're laying in your bed and you have not yet written your goals, I hope that I haunt you and that you feel that you absolutely have to get out of bed and write something on a piece of paper, or else you will not be able to sleep. I hope that happens. I hope that every single person does not forget this, because if you just listened and you didn't actually take any action, you've just wasted 52 minutes, right?
Wow.
So I think that that's my call to the carpet, is put something in writing, do that thing that you've been telling yourself that you were going to do. And Brian Tracy actually says that there was a study that says whether you take 30 minutes or 30 seconds, that your goals will be just as accurate. If you can write the top 3 things that you want to do in 30 seconds and be just as accurate as if you took 30 minutes. So each person on here should be able to take 30 seconds to write down 3 things that they'd like to achieve in 2025 or before the end of the year. I mean, heck, you can still put up 1 million. It's only the 9th. There's plenty of time left.
3 goals in 30 seconds. That is Michael's challenge. So getting back to my question, that is really good. Marnie, I just, from Serenity Sleep Solutions, mattresses and more, I just ordered a new planner goal setting book while listening. Great boost. Way to take action, Marnie.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. You go, girl. Awesome. So I have a day. I don't do what I'm supposed to do. I flubbed it up. I ate a Pop-Tart at 3 a.m. I ate a strawberry Pop-Tart at 3 a.m. All right.
Yeah.
How do we pick ourselves back up, Michael?
Oh, man, it's easy. It's like you said earlier, the guy that says that, you take the whole year, you write it down and you burn it. I heard something very similar. You should never mourn a loss for more than 24 hours, and you should never celebrate a win for more than 24 hours. You take those things, you learn from them, you move on, and winners are going to find a way to win, and losers are going to find a way to lose. But okay, so let's say that you have a goal, it's something that's really important to you, and you're really struggling with the discipline to do so. I mean, I think the big thing for me was the next step is an accountability partner. Somebody that's actually bold enough and cares about you enough to say, hey, are you still messing that up? Or are you taking any action on that? I think it's really important to have some of those people in your life that care enough to go out of their way to call you on your BS. I think that's huge. For the first time in my life, 2025, I'm going to have a personal coach that's going to help me take that next level in my life. And I look forward to it so much. And I think I recommend everybody find that person that, cares about you enough to have the hard conversation. I think that's big.
Wow. Yeah, Chris, you're right. He just dropped more golden nuggets. A personal coach, if you haven't done it and you're ready, but at a bare minimum, an accountability partner. And Michael said something really important. That person should be for you. That person should be a friend. That person should care about you. Don't give accountability partner status to somebody who may not be completely aligned with you as a person. Sadly, and I'm going to talk about this, there are people out there who don't like to see other people succeed, who feel like it's a zero-sum game. Somebody else's success takes away from mine. There are people that think that. It's nonsense, but there are people out there. Be very careful of who you share your goals with, because sometimes we share them with the wrong people. So share them with the right people, the people that care about you, the people that love you, and by all means, an accountability partner, because they will see it before you do. And my accountability partner is my wife, and she will call me on it in a heartbeat before anybody else
in
will.
Public too, right? In public, she'll embarrass you in front of 10 people.
No, my wife is great that way. She does not do that in public, but she does it in private better than anybody I've ever seen or known. And it's part of what makes us work. It's super important to have alignment with your accountability partner and make sure 100% they're for you, because you don't need the accountability partner when everything's going right. You need it when something is starting to come a little bit off kilter, and you want to fix it before you get all the way off the track, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that accountability partner will see something. Maybe if we're going back to the health and fitness stuff, maybe, hey, did you get all your water in today? Or, hey, did you eat enough protein today? Hey, I noticed that you were walking, but you didn't walk today. Did you get your walk in today? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I love what you said. Winners find ways to win, and losers find ways to lose. It's true. It sounds like it's a kick in the rear end, and maybe it is, but it's so true. And I think we all have to remind ourselves of that. And I will tell you this, as managers and sales leaders, I've always treated all of my people essentially the same way, except for their individual personalities, but in general, you're treating them all the same way, except for maybe tailoring it to their personal needs. One of the biggest challenges that we have as sales leaders is not letting one of our teammates challenge somebody that we're responsible for. If they fail, do not put that on you, that it's my failure. Now, should you ask the question, is there something I could have done to help him or her succeed? That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
And we're always, I love what you said about 10 or 15 minutes into this conversation. I'm accountable to them. And that is a huge mindset shift for a lot of leaders, especially sales leaders. If you're accountable to your people, that's fine. And you are, and you understanding that is going to make a huge difference. Your people are going to have more success, but don't make their failure your failure, but continue to coach always. You get the last word, Michael. What say you?
And just, I mean, it feels fitting to just comment on what you just said. You're right. So as a leader, or as a person that has a large group of accountability partners, you can't save everybody, right? So I think it's very important to play with the people that want to be on your team. And if there's people that aren't willing to do it, you can show them the way, but you're responsible to the people that are working hard, that are on your team, to say this person doesn't fit. And it's not our job to save them. We've got our own work to do. So I think that's really important to know, that there is so much positive work, and there are so many hardworking people that deserve you, and they deserve your attention, and they deserve you to achieve your goals. It doesn't have to be everyone.
Yep. Michael, thank you. I know we ran over a little bit, so I apologize for that. Thank you for bringing the funk, as our friend Scott Vaughn would say.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to get a hold of you, Michael, how do they get a hold of you? What's the best way?
My email is michael@muellerfurniture.com. That's real easy. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll probably ignore you because there's so much LinkedIn spam. But I check it every now and then, so I'll probably get back to you within a week or so. Mattress Industry Network has become a really great communicating tool for people in our industry. And I think that if you are resourceful enough, you can figure it out.
Thank you, Michael. Have a great day, and enjoy the holidays, and go out there and lead your team to sell in millions and millions. Thank you.
That's right. See you, buddy. Later, buddy.